today is the 21st of March. It's a very special day and clearly the weather knows it because it's very warm. I'm only in my t-shirt and I'm down the allotment. Sun is shining, it's just marvellous. So what I'm going to show you today, basically what I'm doing is I'm getting all the beds ready for the potatoes and the onions and stuff like that, because they'll all be going in a couple of weeks. But I'm just about to start to clear the asparagus bed, and I just want to show you that it's always good to clear the asparagus bed at the end of well, at the beginning of the next season. If you've got any fronds or anything growing that's still green, leave it, wait for it to go brown before you remove it. Okay, the asparagus bed has been in, I think this is its 3rd year, so because I sowed them from seed, they should be quite substantial this year. So hopefully this year I'll be picking some. I can actually see some just poking through the surface, which is a great indication that they're on their way. And now that the weather's warmed up, they are hopefully going to grow quite quick. They're very hungry plants, so what I'm going to do is, once I've cleared and weeded, is I'm going to give them a good thorough water with some seaweed fertiliser, so hopefully that'll get down into them and give them a little bit of a boost. But let me show you how they're getting on. Right, so any of the little brown bits just pull off. If you find that they're a bit tricky to pull off, then use your secateurs. Pull them as low down as you possibly can, and then just take, there aren't many weeds in this bed, just very carefully remove the weeds. Don't go down too far, and be very gentle, because you don't want to put your trowel in and chop off some of the new shoots that are growing. Now, I don't know if you can see this, just here there's the first one growing on this plant. There are quite a few others that are about the same size, and they're slowly coming up. So that is the first of this year's asparagus shoot. So I'll just keep it covered up like that, and hopefully in about a month's time, 6 weeks time, we'll be harvesting it, but and along with hopefully lots of others. So I'll just continue to weed this bed, and then I'll come back to you when I'm done. Okay, so I've given that a thorough water. I've put some liquid fertiliser, seaweed fertiliser in there as well. If you do have a bit of manure, then just whack a thin layer of manure on top, and that will just give it a little bit more goodness, so that hopefully it'll grow really well this year. But now let's move on and sow the first of the spring onions. Now, the spring onions that I'm going to sow today are called White Lisbon. I sow these most years. They do really well, and you can sow these from March all the way through to sort of July time. I'm not going to sow all of them now. I'm going to sow one row now, and then in about a month's time then I'll sow another row, and so on and so forth. So you sow these in succession as well. So these are very easy to sow, so let me show you how to do that. Now, I've got my line here so that I have a lovely straight line of them, otherwise I get all wonky. And what you need to do is make sure that the area that you're going to plant them in is, you've taken all the weeds out and you've given them a little bit of a fork over, so that the soil is nice and loose. And then what you need to do is you need to make a little trough. It doesn't need to be very deep, it needs to be about ½ inch deep. So make that all the way along the line. And once you've made your trough, then you just need to water all the way along the trough. Now, once the water is all soaked through, then you can start to sow your seeds. Now, these are the spring onion seeds. They look exactly the same as onion seeds, really, and chive seeds, because they all come from the same family. So we're going to sow these very thinly in the trough. So just use your finger and your thumb, take a pinch, and then carefully drop them in the trough not too close together, but they're not too far apart either. And once you've put all the seeds in that you want, then just gently cover the seeds up with the soil. Make sure that then you label them so you know what's coming up, and you put a couple of sticks, one at each end, so that you know where the row starts and where the row ends. Now, the last thing that I'm going to sow today is some beetroot. These ones are called Caboodles of Bountiful Beetroot. There are all sorts of different varieties in here, so this will be interesting to grow. I think I have some more at home, some other varieties, but I'm going to sow these ones today. You can sow these when it starts to get a little bit warmer, so sort of end of March, beginning of April is a good time. It seems to be fairly warm. The nights are not frosty at the moment, so that's really good. So I'm going to sow these ones. Now, with your beetroot, you can either sow them all together, or you can sow them successively, so that you have them, if you want them all a specific size. But to be honest with you, you can sow your beetroot and you can harvest them whatever size you want. You could leave them, you know, sow them now and then leave them in and let them get massive. It's entirely up to you. I prefer harvesting them when they're sort of about the size of a bit bigger than a golf ball, actually. I find that that's a good size, but it's entirely up to you. The smaller they are, the quicker they take to cook. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is how to sow these. Now, again, it's exactly the same as we sowed the spring onions. Put your line in and then dig a trough, again about 1/2 inch deep, all the way along the line. Beetroot need a little bit more space to grow, so between one line and the next, I would suggest you leave a minimum of 6 inches. If you want them to get quite big, then leave about 9 inches. But I'm just going to fit one row in here, and because that's all I've got space for, and then the other beetroot I'll sow in a different bed. And once you've dug your little trough, then all you need to do is water inside the trough. Now, once the water's all soaked through, then it's time to sow your beetroot seeds. Now, these are what the seeds look like. They're very lumpy and bumpy, but they are absolutely brilliant. It's nice to actually have some seeds that are fairly substantial. So just take them between your fingers and your thumb, and you want to space these about 2 inches apart from each other, 1 to 2 inches apart from each other, because then they have space to grow. And then when you've put your seeds in, just move the soil back over across them, cover them up really well, and then when you've done that, make sure you label them and then put a stick each side of the line, and then you know where they're growing. Right, well, that's it for this morning on the allotment. I've dug over a bed that I want to put the onions in. I might start doing those in the next couple of days, hopefully. I've also picked some kale, which I'm going to take home and give to the chickens, a special treat, because they've been very good. And as I was digging over the onion bed, you know, sometimes you miss the odd potato, and you can understand if they're quite small. I found that one, which, you know, I can understand missing that one. However, I can't understand why I missed that one. It's huge and it's just starting to sprout. So obviously I don't want those in the bed where, that I've left them in. So I'm going to take these home and we're going to have them for dinner. Yes, I'm not quite sure how I missed that one, but hey ho, maybe I was just not concentrating. Well, I hope you found what I've shown you interesting this morning, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.